Alright fellas, I have already recorded this video once. Hopefully, I won't have to do it again. But in today's video, we are actually going to be discussing the idea of future and potential Fighter Pass packs for Smash Bros. Ultimate. So, to really just clarify what I'm getting at here, is currently, as of June, the middle of June 2019, that's the year, as of the middle of June of 2019, we only have one Fighter Pass kind of announced and ongoing for Smash Ultimate. So the Fighter Pass includes music, stages, and characters from third-party companies outside of Nintendo. So this currently would include the Hero from Dragon Quest, Joker from Persona 5, and Banjo-Kazooie from Banjo-Kazooie. So within this Fighter Pass, since we have 3 out of the 5 characters shown off, we only have 2 more left. Lots of fans and players, myself included, doesn't really want this to be the end. We would, really like to have future Fighter Passes, possibly also themed, because this Fighter Pass, the ongoing one currently, is obviously themed for third parties. So having future Fighter Passes that are also themed is a super cool idea, and I think that Nintendo should take advantage of it. Real quick disclaimer before I really begin. I remember reading or hearing somewhere on some article, I don't remember if it was Source Gaming or if it was Nintendo Life or if it was something else. It may not even have been a reliable source, but I remember reading something concerning a Sakurai interview that Sakurai didn't want to even initially do the first Fighter Pass. Now, whether or not that means he wanted to actually make DLC, or whether or not that means he wanted to announce the DLC without announcing the contents of it, back what they did in September of 2018, they said, hey, we're having a Fighter Pass, but we're not going to talk about it now. We'll reveal it in the future, but we still want you to pay for it. So I don't remember if the article was talking specifically about Sakurai not wanting to make a Fighter Pass, or just not wanting to release the Fighter Pass like that. I can't remember, but either way, Sakurai kind of has ill intent, or idea of Fighter Passes to some degree. So I think that is noteworthy for discussion, because obviously if the main director of the game doesn't want to work on future updates and whatnot, then it would kind of be sucky if Nintendo forced him and his team to do it, similarly what they kind of did with this, because Nintendo just handed Sakurai and his team a list of characters they wanted, and they kind of had to do it. So hopefully that's not the case for any other future Fighter Passes. Hopefully, Nintendo doesn't make slaves out of their employees, but nonetheless, we are still going to discuss this here and just kind of brainstorm different ideas, different themes for future and potential Fighter Passes. So, to begin, we're kind of going to start basic. Here's an idea of simply another third-party Fighter Pass. So the idea for this is particularly we're going to have another Fighter Pass identical to this one, just with new characters and potentially different companies. So again, like I said before, the ongoing Fighter Pass concerning Joker, Banjo, and Hero, this Fighter Pass is clearly identified as a third-party Fighter Pass. All the characters within it, all the stages, all the music come from third-party companies. They come from companies outside and developed outside of Nintendo. So the idea for this next Fighter Pass is simply the same thing. It's just having characters from third-party companies. So the companies include Square Enix, following with Geno and Sora, Bandai Namco with Lloyd, Klonoa, and Heihachi, I think that's how you say that name. Next is Microsoft with Steve, Master Chief, and potentially also Cuphead. Next we have Sega with Eggman, Tails, Alex Kidd, Ai, and Akira Yuki. Next we have Ubisoft with Rayman, Rabbids, and Ezio. And then we have Bethesda with Vault Boy and Doomguy. And lastly, we have WayForward with Shantae. Now I know that WayForward is an independent company, but last I checked, independent companies are by definition third party, so I could be wrong on that, but if I am wrong, then just cut that out. But anyway, so There's definitely more third-party characters and companies to be listed here, but I feel as if these companies and characters probably stream the most volume when it comes to unique characters from third parties, both new and old, obviously. So the next idea I've kind of got put together would be made in a similar vein to the previous one, but this time it is a second-party fighter pass. So this kind of introduces characters from second-party Nintendo games, franchises, and companies that fans either highly requested or they were kind of pushed alongside during development. So second-party companies are companies that Nintendo owns but are not kind of limited to Nintendo, if that kind of makes sense. Like Nintendo themselves doesn't make the game, they just publish them onto their systems, whereas these companies actually develop the games. So these are the developing companies. So we have basically Game Freak with anything Pokemon related. Decidueye was kind of considered or planned for development with Smash Ultimate, and then they ultimately ended up doing Incineroar because Sakurai wanted a wrestling inspired character. So we have Decidueye as a character. Decidueye, personally, is tied for my all-time favorite Pokemon of all time, the other one being Sceptile. And then a few other Pokemon options would pretty much just be anything from Gen 8, maybe another legendary like that electric thing we got from Sun and Moon, I don't know. But yeah, so Decidueye and pretty much just any other Gen 8 Pokemon coming up from Sword and Shield. So next we have HAL Laboratory, which this could actually feature any new Kirby character. And although Earthbound does have ties with HAL Lab, last I checked, Creatures or Intelligent Systems also make Earthbound. Like, Earthbound is kind of a franchise that everybody kind of looks like to dip their toes in. So is Metroid to an extent. So I'm not really sure what you would classify this 100% as, but I have Earthbound here, written down here as HAL Laboratory. So we have a new Kirby character, whether that be DeRoach, whether that be Marks, just a new Kirby character and a new Earthbound character. That could be Porky, that could be Ninten, that could be anyone. So I have those there. Next we have Intelligent Systems, and so this would obviously include your Paper Mario or your Fire Emblem characters. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we have Metroid, because Metroid kind of likes to get involved with any and every other second-party company that Nintendo owns. But Metroid, I have listed under Intelligent Systems. And then lastly, we actually have Fawful from Alpha Dream. So Alpha Dream is the developing team behind the Mario and Luigi RPG games. Superstar Saga, Bowser's Inside Story, Partners in Time, Luigi's, the Dream Team, Luigi's Dream, just whatever it is. So Alpha Dream is behind all of that, and so I think Fawful would make for a good representative of that company. So there's definitely a plethora of more second-party characters who's deserving to fit for the bill here, but these are just kind of the ones that stood out to me the most. So going down the list, after our third and second-party Fighter Pass packs, you guessed it, a first-party Fighter Pass. So this idea just includes first-party Nintendo franchises or Nintendo series that fans have kind of been wanting for ages. I don't have any specific characters for this list, just simply series names, because a lot of these characters either fall into the idea of clones or they fall into the idea of semi-clones or unique fighters or whatever else. So there's just a lot of variables considering all of the characters from any of these franchises, so I'm simply just going to list off the franchises here. So first off, we have a new Mario character. I mean, you could identify previous ones that I've listed, such as Fawful for that. New Mario character, I think, is potentially likely. Then we have a new Legend of Zelda character, whether that be Impa or Demise or Girahim, just anything of the sort, just a new Legend of Zelda character. A new Kid Icarus character, which a lot of people are thinking either Medusa or Hades, and either or for me. I do need to pick up Uprising, but I'm kind of hoping. I know it's not going to happen just because Nintendo's got a lot else on their plate, but a new Kid Icarus game or having the Kid Icarus games ported onto the Switch would be nice because I really do want to play Uprising. But anyway, so a new Kid Icarus character to some degree. A new Star Fox character being Crystal or part of Team Starwolf's team. Those would work out really well. And then lastly, new F-Zero character, potentially being Black Shadow. So our next idea is possibly the most famous and discussed amongst fans, and this being an Echo Fighter Pass. So the idea for this Fighter Pass would be to include Echo Fighters for characters pre-existing in the game, preferably not new DLC fighters. So basically, what I mean by this is that characters that I'm about to list off here won't be characters or won't be echoes of characters that we've gotten in DLC for Ultimate. So I'm not talking about a Banjo and Kazooie echo. I'm not talking about a Dragon Quest echo. I'm not talking about a Joker echo, for example. Now, DLC characters from previous games, such as Lucas from Smash 4, pretty much just all the Smash 4 DLC would qualify for this, since they're not DLC in Smash Ultimate. So anyway, we have Dixie Kong over Diddy, Funky Kong over Donkey Kong, Impa over Sheik, Ninten over Ness, Black Shadow over Captain Falcon, Toon Zelda over Zelda, Demise over Ganondorf, Galactonite over Meta Knight, Pokemon Ranger over Pokemon Trainer. Now that's a real interesting one. Metal Sonic or Classic Sonic over Sonic, Louie and Brittany over top of Alph and Olimar, Mrs. Pac-Man over Pac-Man, Zack Fair over Cloud, Jean over Bayonetta, and lastly, Octolings over the Inklings. Now, while I understand that some of these characters may be existing spirits or assist trophies, these characters are still worthy to discuss, in my opinion. These were also all the Echo Fighter ideas I could conjure up with, but if you have any more, feel free to let me know. A lot of these too, people were speculating to just kind of be shoe-ins within the game before the game obviously released, but that didn't happen, sadly enough, so, discussing them here is perfectly fine. So our next idea is just as popular, I think, as the Echo Fighter Pass idea, but I do see less and less people talking about it the more time goes on, so this would be an Indie Fighter Pass. So indie characters and indie games are basically games that are made by indie developers, kind of what I was talking about as Shantae earlier. This Fighter Pass would focus on indie developed characters. Now, indie games are typically kind of games that are, made within the modern realm, but they're made to kind of mimic a retro style now, or retro visual style or retro gameplay style. Now, that's not the actual definition of an indie game or an indie company. An indie company is just a company that gets all of their money and funds independently, whether it be through like GoFundMe's or anything like that. They're not major league companies by any means. So, but a lot of people do kind of have this stigma of independent companies that they make games in retro styles. So that's not entirely true, but that is a common theme that a lot of indie games have in common. So I can see why a lot of people do take on that stigma. But anyway, so just getting back here. So a few characters I have listed for an Indie Fighter Pass would include Shovel Knight, Hollow Knight, Sans and or Frisk, Shantae, Cuphead, and Madeline from Celeste. So there are plenty more and just as worthy indie characters to show off, but these were just the ones that kind of stuck most with me. So again, feel free to let me know if I missed any particular one that you really care for. So our last two couple of Fighter Pass ideas actually stem from the same idea, just executed differently. So the themes here are a Spirit promoted Fighter Pass and an Assist Trophy promoted Fighter Pass. So the idea between these two is promoting existing Spirits and or Assist Trophies into playable character status. Similarly with how stages cannot host a character that is currently in the fight, certain Spirits and Assist Trophies won't be usable while the playable versions of those characters are in battle. So for the Spirit promoted Fighter Pass, and this is a rather short list, even though I know that we have so many Spirits, but again, this is a rather short list. So for the Spirit promoted Fighter Pass, we have Captain Toad, Shantae, Paper Mario, Fawful, Ravio, and I believe Marks is one of those. I checked, but I don't know if it's 100%. So Marks. So these are just the main ones that I was able to conjure up with. Again, I know that there's hundreds. Actually, there's 1,300 spirits. A lot of them, too, are just different variations of existing fighters. They don't really either work as fighters, or they're also assist trophies. So those are just the handful that stood out to me most. But anyway, let's now discuss the nominees for an assist trophy promoted Fighter Pass. So this would include Waluigi, of course, obviously, Crystal, Bomberman, Akira, Isaac, Zero, Shadow, Shovel Knight, Midna, Ashley, Takamaru, Black Knight, Rodin, Knuckles, Springman, Girahim, Starly, Dylan, the Prince of Sable, Skull Kid, and lastly, Lyn. So guys, this was pretty much just all of the ideas I came up with when it came to future and potential fighter passes. Let me know if you guys have any different, cool, unique, different ideas for fighter passes, and I would love to be able to check them out, discuss them with you in the comments below. So anyway guys, this is Jake, logging out. Peace.